Monique left with a shot, rebound, walking, scores! The shots and a goal! Shot out in front and another goal.
That was Lamoureux Coles once again, the two twin sisters.
Purdy is next out. She's something of a celebrity back home.
How sensational is that? Incredible performance.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. For the few of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Scott, and I have the great privilege and honor of leading this user community. So let's put our hands together and thank ourselves for being here. Are you guys feeling good this afternoon? It's a big day. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of talking. And this is your time to kick back, relax, have some fun, and listen to some great stories. We're gonna meet some fantastic people, and I promise you, you're gonna have a good time. Your cell phone is nothing more than a bad news delivery device, so put it down. Those projects can wait. Those wonderful emails that say, I love you, can wait just a little bit longer, and we're just gonna talk this afternoon. We're gonna have some fun. You know, it's simple. We love stories, and we love stories about sports even more. Man versus man, man versus nature, team versus team, Ray versus Kylo Ren. Ray versus, oh, come on. This is a little bit of fun today. Come on, folks. Thank you. Win, lose, or draw, these stories captivate us. That's why I'm so excited to welcome these four spectacular Olympic and Paralympic athletes to this stage this afternoon, to hear their stories of true grit and determination, to hear how they train, to hear how they persevere against the odds, to hear how they motivate themselves to compete and win. Because in so many ways, their stories are our stories. Because just like them, we compete. Just like them, we race against the clock. Just like them, we know that we have to elevate our game and our organization's game each and every single day. Our community knows one universal constant. Technology never stands still. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And because of this, our performance matters. Your performance matters. Ask Lindsey Vonn and she'll tell you, you can own the best pair of skis in the world, but it's your skill that gets you down that mountain. Some of us better than others, and that's not me. That's not me. And by the way, the same is true when it comes to SAP. It is some of the best technology in the world, but it's the skills of each and every single one of us in this room that makes it work. That's true, isn't it? Absolutely. Like David against Goliath, we succeed by our wit, not our weight. It's our true grit and determination, our willingness to compete, our drive to win that delivers success to our organizations every day. That's why we need to be at the top of our games. And that's what ASUG, your SAP community, is here to do for you, to get you to the top of your game and keep you there. We all know the saying, no pain, no gain. And based on the stories that so many of you have shared with me, we do have some pain in our community and maybe not as quite as much gain as we think we deserve. The pain of those projects who we know their success is doubtful from the very beginning. The pain of those late nights and weekends spent away from family and friends in pursuit of getting all this technology to work. The pain felt by our end users who never quite understand and can't quite figure out how to put all this technology to work for them. The pain of consultants and contractors who promise us one thing, but deliver something less. ASUG is here to help turn that pain into gain. With 100,000 members, all of you, 400 volunteers, 200 chapter meetings, and over 600 webcasts a year, and that's just getting started. There is no better community than the one right here in this room. We're here to help you win the race. We are your coach, the one who says just the right thing at just the right time to get you to cross that finish line to victory. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your organizations to be part of this amazing community, to be part of ASUG. In the 2018 State of the Community Survey, you shared with us some very important insights, both about where your organizations have been and where you're going. This afternoon, I want to highlight two of those insights for you. First, 73% of you said that your companies are increasing spending on key innovation initiatives. 73%. That tells me something very important. That tells me that digital transformation is both very real and very impactful to your organizations. But perhaps more important is that 68% of you said that those innovation initiatives will require more out of your SAP investments. Game on. This morning, SAP showed you some important new capabilities, such as C4HANA and the Intelligent Enterprise. And Bill and his team did a magnificent job explaining all that new capability to us. But that capability will help us to innovate and get more out of our SAP investments. But in so many ways, that is our latest pair of skis. But it still takes us, our skill, our determination, our grit to make it down the mountain in order to turn those new capabilities into a competitive advantage for our organizations. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. As a community, our strength has always been going together. So let's go together, united to deliver value to our organizations, our stakeholders, our customers, by putting this SAP software to work for us. And because we love stories, this afternoon, we will be sharing some fantastic member success stories with you. Stories that will inspire you to reach higher, to compete faster, and to ultimately beat that ticking clock. Stories that simply remind us that we are the very best technology user community on this planet. Thank you. Let's take a look at the first one.
You know, there's a fundamental belief here at Johnsonville that we have a business that builds our people. We don't use our people to build our business. Part of the Johnsonville way is the requirement that each one of us learn, stretch, and grow and helps other people learn, stretch, and grow. What we look for is the opportunity to provide learning experiences for our members on a daily basis.
You have that nudge, right? You have the right person who sees the potential in you. Take that opportunity when it's there.
At Johnsonville, actually successfully implemented S4 1610. We were the first. We were on the bleeding edge here on this, but it was really a conversation about where do we invest? Do we invest on the old technology platform, or do we take a bit of a risk and implement the latest and greatest so that as we move forward with that technology roadmap, we're building on the best technology that's available today.
It's about empowerment, and we're using the information that we're gathering and reporting to drive process change and improvement throughout our organization. So it's not something that's going to stay stagnant. We're going to continue to develop that and improve that.
Today we're close to 50 IT professionals and running the latest and greatest SAP technologies.
Technology is a huge part of what we do. We see ourselves as a bleeding edge organization, and I think we want to continue to be at the forefront of that.
The community of ASUG is something that has been valuable to me, to my entire team. ASUG Executive Exchange is something that's really kind of forced me to grow, but then the community itself is so willing to help. We also have leadership here who understands that IT is a competitive differentiator for us, that we're able to deploy systems to make us more efficient and give us that strategic advantage over our competition. We can use that to continue to propel the business forward.
These are stories about us, folks, how we use this technology every day. What a great story about a storied company. Johnsonville reminds us that our time here this week is really about how we put this technology to work for our organizations. Because all of this technology can only be successful if our end users who operate it have the knowledge and know-how to put it to work for us. I'm talking about the people in your organization who are essential to getting the business of your business done. I'm talking about the folks in finance, sales, procurement, supply chain, customer service, and the list goes on and on and on. The people that spend hours each day using all this technology that we work so hard to implement for them. These are the very same people that we had in mind when we created ASUG University. ASUG University is both an online and in-person education platform that we happen to create in collaboration with SAP Education in order to give your end users, in order to inspire them to love SAP as much as we do. ASUG University gives them the reason why they do what they do in SAP. And if you think your end users would benefit from understanding how to use this technology better, I encourage you to check it out by heading over to the ASUG hub over there and talking with the ASUG University team. ASUG U, we provide the instruction, the beer pong is on you. I mean, come on. I'm trying. Hello? How you doing out there? Everyone okay? Come on. I gotta tell you, one of the great things about ASUG is it is run by customers just like you. And every 2 years, we elect a new chairperson to lead us forward. In a few moments, we'll be hearing from our outgoing chairperson, but first, I want you to meet our new chairperson. This individual has been part of the ASUG board for the past 4 years, and for the past 2, he's been the chairperson of the finance committee. He knows us really, really well because he's one of us, and he is super passionate about what we do. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a great welcome and a great round of applause for the chairman of ASUG, Cintas's Mark Leclerc. Mark.
Jeff, how are you?
How are you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
Thanks, buddy.
Have fun.
Appreciate it.
Have fun.
Thanks. Thanks. First, I want to thank Keith Sturgill for his leadership in all he's done to bring the mission of ASUG forward. I want to thank Jeff Scott for his continued partnership and support. My fellow board members and the rest of the community for putting your trust in me. What an honor to be named the chairman of the ASUG board. The gratitude I feel at being asked to lead ASUG is surpassed only by my passion for what our commitment is. You see, at Cintas, we approach digital transformation with caution. We didn't rush into new technologies like some. We slowly dipped our toes into the SAP waters. We started with our financial systems, then our supply chain, and then we went end to end with our small business units. Our plan was to start small and at all cost, no impact to our customers. We initially experienced some operational instability. Being rather new to SAP, I sought insight and attended my first ASUG conference. For me, it was a chance to meet other IT leaders in the ASUG community who were also trying to make SAP run better for their companies. And that's what's kept me coming back all these years. I remember vividly an ASUG Executive Exchange event in Newport Beach where we were sharing Fiori strategies and talking about licensing when I realized I've discovered this vital and valuable tool in community and I wanted to grow with it. Now, the truth be told, coming from Ohio in the middle of February, my aha moment may have been aided by that Southern California sun. About a year later, when there was a board opening, my enthusiasm for ASUG and its value to me and Cintas gave me the incentive to throw my hat into the ring. Lo and behold, I became a board member, and as my career grew, so did my involvement with ASUG. As the new chairman, I keep returning to the core values of ASUG. Building relationships with fellow SAP customers to gain insights from lessons learned. You know, those that have been there, done that already with SAP. because bound together by shared experience, education, and influence, we will enable business success together. As chairman, I want to ask you to make ASUG a priority for yourself and your staff. Make a commitment to attend more ASUG events. Bring your shared ideas to our community, your success and failures, and together we will be stronger personally and professionally. At Cintas, like you, we've spent a significant amount on SAP. And like you, we know the pace of change is faster than it's ever been. We're faced with adapting to new technology or being left behind. I see my role here at ASUG as championing the path to help you maximize your SAP investment, whether that's through education, connections, or community purpose. So let's work together, all of us, because we each have unique problems to solve, and a path to those solutions has already been taken by another ASUG member. You are not alone. Your worries, your setbacks, and your successes are shared by this entire community. We each have authentic stories, and I encourage you to share them with the community because ASUG is your place for answers, clarity, and support. And for those of you who are not yet ASUG members, I want to encourage you to join the community as well. The waters are just fine, and who knows, with the right guidance and a little luck, you may start out like me, just seeking to understand, yet to become a leader. Join us. I promise you, no matter where you are on your SAP journey, ASUG will be there to help you navigate every step of the way. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Now let's check out one of our next video for our success member story.
We just rolled out a strategic plan that speaks to what it is we're going to do as a Navy in our new vision, and it's ready to help, ready to lead, ready to fight. One of the things that we've been doing is trying to, leverage industry best practices to be more ready. HMCS Summerside and Kingston, we're doing tremendous things with our African partners, reinforcing maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. We have 2 maritime coastal defense vessels operating with the U.S. Coast Guard, keeping drugs off the streets of North America. And our sailors are having phenomenal success. Change is a constant, and so now it's just making sure that that pace of change isn't too significant for the team so that everyone can stay in the convoy.
The Royal Canadian Navy has been in enterprise resource planning systems for about 20 years. Because of an engagement in the ASUG community, we actually put tangible targets on our analytics capability. 5 clicks in 2 minutes. That's what we are expecting. Anybody in our enterprise should, from the moment they get into the office, within 5 clicks in 2 minutes, be able to access that content.
The Royal Canadian Navy really has a high interest in technology in the future. We're not only concerned about preventative maintenance, there's also tracking corrective maintenance, which directly affects our size of our crew.
We started off with about $1.5 million of investment every year, and it was about taking that money and investing in our people. We did not spend a dollar on any technology, any hardware or software. All of our investment went into building the talent pipeline, investing in our people, making connections, and then really taking advantage of the technology that was available. Digital capability is just accelerating everything that we do. It's shortening the cycle times of almost every decision, and that extends to warfare domains. So we are training a workforce that will be more prepared for warfighting in the future. That's what allowed us to really accelerate our program.
So right now, with respect to our journey on becoming a digitally enabled Navy, I couldn't be more pleased or proud. Our progress are measured in personnel, material, technical, and combat readiness. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity for Canadian Armed Forces to maximize those profits.
What a great organization. Speaking of the Canadian Navy, if you're part of the gig economy, your ship has come in. I didn't write these, by the way. I didn't write these. Last year, ASUG did a survey on the gig economy. We learned from all of you is that speed to fulfillment, quality, and cost are the biggest issues you face when dealing with contract labor. As your user community, we really felt that this was something we could help make easier and simpler, which is why we've launched this year ASUG Talent Hub. We knew that if you could have a web-based way to get your projects staffed more quickly and more predictably, it would be something that you would really appreciate. Talent Hub pulls together the very best of the SAP staffing partners to make sure that your projects are a success. Quality goes up, costs go down, and your critical SAP initiatives get implemented that much faster. It sounds like a winning proposition all around. So if you're interested in learning more, I invite you to talk to the ASUG Talent Hub team located in the ASUG Hub right over there. This community won when Eastman's Keith Sturgill became our chairman of the board. Keith's presence and personality have been a true gift to all of us.
For 4 years, he stood on this stage, a natural-born storyteller. Offering words of encouragement.
So let's be bold and let's be courageous as we go down this road together.
And plans for success. He dared us to be better leaders, to think outside the box, to challenge the status quo by embracing disruption and the speed of digital transformation.
You know, we've come a long way from those early days, from a few seats in a small room to all of this. But you know what? The best is yet to come.
He has been a great leader of this community.
It's up to us. Our time is now.
And even protected us from bears.
Past few years, you've used a really great tagline here, beware of the bear.
Yeah, I love the bear. This bear will protect his turf literally at all costs. Beware of the bear.
Today, we honor and thank him.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. He deserves a great round of applause. This is a man who is quite possibly one of the best storytellers I've met. Please welcome the ASUG chairman of the board, Keith Sturgill from Eastman Chemical. Keith, come on out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. Great day. You know, you can't accomplish anything without the possibility of failure. This is a nugget of wisdom from Gary Lazarus Lakes Cantrell. He's the guy who formed a little-known endurance race that's known as the Barkley Marathons. This is a race that is so extreme that it's only had 15 finishers since it began in 1986. That's 15 finishers in 32 years. This run takes place in a place called Frozen Head State Park in the mountains of East Tennessee. This run is made up of 5 loops around a course that many would describe as absolutely insane. I mean, the race organizers, they estimate each of the loops to be, well, about 20 miles. But those that participate, they challenge that. They say each loop is closer to 26 miles, the length of a full marathon. And to finish this race, you've got to complete 5 loops within 60 hours. Completing the course means more than 100 miles and a combined gain in elevation of 60,000 feet. So let's put that in perspective. That's like climbing Mount Everest from sea level twice. Most of us will never attempt such a daunting physical challenge. I can guarantee you that I won't. But we all face challenges in our life, don't we? It can be personal or it can be professional. And the way we face those challenges will define our future. Whether we thrive or we simply survive. Whether we truly live or we simply exist. So remember, Laz Lake says you can't accomplish anything without the possibility of failure. Good afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure to be with you once again. This is, as you can tell, a really special week for me. This week, I complete my term as chairman of this wonderful organization. As a matter of fact, I have recently completed 32 years at Eastman. It has been an incredible ride for me and my wife, Linda. And as I've reflected a little over the past few years, about 32 years, I've had so many wonderful experiences and memories that as a young person growing up in Wise, Virginia, I just could never have imagined. I am truly blessed. So as I stand on this stage, I want to pass along some nuggets of information, some things that I've learned along the way. I'll let you decide if they're nuggets of wisdom. So much of what I've learned you can actually see in the experience of the Barkley Marathons. As you can probably tell, the Barkley is a little odd. It's a little quirky. There's no advertising. There's no official website. There's no published rules. This race was actually inspired by the capture of escaped convict James Earl Ray, who had been in prison for the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Ray had escaped from Brushy Mountain State Prison and was on the loose for 55 hours. The mountainous terrain around the prison was so difficult that Ray, he only covered 8 miles in that 55 hours. So when Laz heard that news, he thought to himself, well, I could have covered at least 100 miles in that amount of time, and the Barkley Marathons were born. So this race has some other characteristics that are somewhat unique in the marathon world. In the Barkley, the participants actually cheer for one another. The opponent is the course, much more so than the other participants. The runners help one another before, during, and after the race. Participants and spectators alike celebrate the achievement of all the runners. And you know, as I've traveled my journey, I've come to realize that we accomplish very few things alone. It takes others, like-minded people to help us along life's journeys. And you know, I believe this is true in all aspects of our life. Our network of family and friends, certainly in our professional lives, it is the people that ultimately make the difference. I mean, come on, you know this. We can have the greatest technology. We can have the best strategy. We can even have world-class products. But if we don't have the right people and the right culture, we will ultimately fail. And for those of us who lead others, whether it's a small team, a department, a division, or maybe even an entire company, as leaders, our responsibility is to attract, retain, and develop great people, period. As leaders, we are there to enable the success of the team, the success of the people. As leaders, we are there for the team. The team's not there for us. It's not about me, it's about the team. And community is all about mutual benefit, helping one another along the way. And ASUG is all about community, enabling our mutual success, because it's in the success of others that we truly succeed. So let's learn to celebrate community. Our opponent are the problems that we're trying to solve, not our teammates. Also, in the Barkley Marathons, the runners, they don't know the specific start time. All they know is that the race is going to begin sometime within a 12-hour period, somewhere between noon and midnight on the day of the event. In life and in business, we must be constantly ready to respond when opportunities appear, ready to apply our creative and innovative energies into improving our world. So prepare constantly and consistently to respond to a world that is changing at an ever-increasing pace. I mean, it has never been more important to be curious, to be inquisitive, to be a constant learner, growing and trying new things. You know, I don't believe in luck anymore. Luck is simply where opportunity and preparation intersect. So be curious and be ready and always be prepared. the Barkley Marathons, they actually play taps for the runners that drop out. And remember, almost everybody drops out. So let's learn to celebrate effort, genuine, all-in effort. Celebrate the willingness to attempt big things, the things that many would describe as even unwise or even impossible. Be willing to try, not half-heartedly, but try with all your worth, with everything in you. I mean, maybe everybody around you is telling you to stop. Maybe your internal voice is screaming, enough, you've done enough. But I want to encourage you, keep on going a little bit longer. And when that moment comes, that moment when you know that you have given it everything, and only you will know when that moment comes, stop and celebrate like you've won a gold medal, because you know there is joy in the effort, joy in attempting things that few have the courage to attempt, joy in knowing that you've given your best. And once we have given our best, we're going to care less about how other people evaluate our performance. We're going to make our own judgments about success and about failure. So let's not forget to celebrate effort. In the Barkley Marathons, the course actually changes slightly every year. There's no GPSs allowed for runners of the Barkley. All you get is a compass and a small headlamp that helps you navigate in the dark. Your only direction comes from Laz's vague instructions, things like turn left at the tree with a fork halfway up. So like the Barkley, the world around us is constantly changing. Now, don't get me wrong. It is great to plan, but always know things will not work out the way we planned. So expect to be flexible, and dare I say, even agile in responding to the challenges that we're faced. Because let's face it, there's no GPS, there's no roadmap to where we're going. Learn to adapt and even anticipate the inevitable change. So let's practice being adaptable. In the Barkley Marathons, you got to embrace the possibility of failure. Accomplishing anything worthwhile in your life requires courage. Courage to do things differently. Courage to challenge the status quo. The courage to embrace the possibility of failure. I mean, come on. If you fear failure, you'll never attempt something as daunting as the Barkley. I mean, it is difficult beyond words. But for those who summon the courage, knowing full well that they will most assuredly fail, their courage will be rewarded. Many will learn that they could go further than they thought possible. They will learn that they could accomplish more than they ever thought, much more than they thought. Unless we are willing to attempt big and meaningful things, how will we know what we can accomplish? How will we know what we're capable of? If we don't attempt new things, how will we learn to overcome obstacles and overcome hardships? How will we grow? Because we don't embrace the possibility of failure, many times we choose to set smaller goals. And come on, let's be honest, goals that we're sure we can achieve. We sacrifice great. Now, don't miss this. We sacrifice great for the appearance of good. So let's be forever courageous and embrace the possibility of failure. In the Barkley Marathons, there are no winners, only finishers. The winning, I believe, comes in the attempt to try something you are almost sure you can never complete. So take the time to enjoy the journey, to have fun along the way, learn to laugh, to see the humor in the struggle. You see, one of the checkpoints along the Barkley are unmanned. There is simply a book at each of the checkpoints, and each runner tears out the page that corresponds with their race number. Well, these books, they have some interesting titles. So let's pretend you're a runner on the Barkley. You're struggling up the mountain, your muscles are cramping, exhaustion is setting in. You come up on that first checkpoint. You look and you find the book and you pull it out and it's got a title, left to die. So you tear out your page and you start to the next checkpoint. You're several miles later. You're even more exhausted. You don't even know if you can continue or not. You find the book and you pull it out and it's titled, Just Tell Me When We're Dead. So my advice, listen deeply, ask questions, and learn to laugh along the way. Oh, and by all means, let's be sure to finish well. So as I wrap up, and you go off to accomplish grand things, to tackle big problems, to change your world, always remember, alone we are limited, but working together we can do amazing things. Now, none of us are Superman. I'm reminded of a story told of Muhammad Ali. Ali was not afraid of flying, and I think we can all agree he was a confident man. So Ali was on a flight to one of his many engagements, and during the flight, the plane began to experience turbulence. Moderate turbulence, the pilot called it. So the pilot announced that everyone should make sure their seatbelts are buckled. So everyone on the plane quickly buckled their seatbelt, with the exception of Ali. And the flight attendant noticed, and she said, "Mr. Ali, buckle your seatbelt, please." Ali looked at her and said, "Superman don't need a seatbelt." To which the flight attendant said, "Superman don't need an airplane either." Ali buckled his seatbelt. Thank you so much. It has been my pleasure.
There were 5 million children under the age of 5 who were dying from a simple lack of food and nutrition. And to me, that seemed not only unacceptable, but I knew that it was preventable. We're a nonprofit. Our mission at Adicia is to treat and prevent malnutrition in the world's most vulnerable populations.
We do magic every day, but it's not really magic. It's a lot of strategic operational work to manufacture high-quality, nutritionally specific foods for malnourished children.
We built an innovation center within this factory. And so that's a test kitchen, it's an R&D pilot line, a quality lab, and a team of human resources as well.
I moved to the US in May of 2001. Prior to that, I was living in a refugee camp in Ghana, West Africa. I was one time on the other side of the fence, waiting for humanitarian supplies to arrive. To me, I take my job very seriously in coordinating these deliveries, knowing that every day makes a huge difference in saving lives in those areas. We are sending our products to conflict zones around the world. Every areas that we ship to around the world is extremely challenging. So trying to get your product to reach a desperate humanitarian crisis, it's a big challenge.
And the partnership with ASUG is going to help us get there. When I need something, I can easily reach out and quickly reach out to ASUG by either posting a question, looking at other posts where people have already experienced what I'm going through. And without that, I'm not sure we'd be where we are today. The future for IT here is exciting. We're growing, which means there's going to be more technology. We're always looking for ways to leverage technology to make us work smarter.
We're always thinking in terms of being efficient for the greater mission.
We've been able to distribute through about 51 different countries and reached nearly 7 million malnourished children to date. We can use the intelligence that we have here to continue to grow.
How'd that go for you? It's my honor this afternoon to welcome our keynote moderator, Rebecca Lobo. Rebecca, as a team captain, led the UConn women's basketball team to a perfect 35-0 season and began what has become UConn women's basketball dynasty. She's an Olympic medal winner herself.
I did say gold.
I did say gold. Yeah,
it's true.
It's
okay.
gold. It's
okay.
gold. Having won in the 1996 Summer Olympics, I think I'm taller than she is. In 2017, she was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, which I think is pretty impressive. Yes? Yeah? She's worked as a reporter and commentator for ESPN since 2004, so you may have seen her on TV. I certainly have. Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful time with this audience. Tell them great stories.
Especially since you told me in the back that IT people have a great sense of humor.
Great sense of humor, guys. Great sense of humor.
We're excited about this panel. I felt kind of like my prom walking out with you because my prom date was about your height, so.
There we go. There we go.
There are pictures somewhere, but we won't show them to you today. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our panel. Our first panelist is the most successful American ski racer ever, and the first American woman to win a gold medal in the downhill. She's won 4 World Cup overall championships, and her 82 World Cup victories are an all-time women's record. She has the second highest super ranking of all skiers, men or women, and she's attempting to amend that record to first. Please welcome Lindsey Vonn. Our next panelist's family business is hockey. They're twins. Monique scored the game-tying goal in the finals of the 2018 Winter Olympics. Her sister Jocelyne scored the game-winning goal with her "oops, I did it again" signature shootout move. They both have a gold and 2 silver Olympic medals. Please welcome Monique and Jocelyne Lamoureux. Never bet against our last panelist. She is the most decorated American Paralympic snowboarder in history, competing on 2 prosthetic legs. She holds a bronze and a silver medal in snowboarding from the Paralympic Games. She is a pioneer helping to get snowboarding into the Paralympic Games in the first place. And it's not enough, she amazed the country when she came in 2nd place on the TV show Dancing with the Stars. Please welcome Amy Purdy. Now, the overall theme of this conference is success. And behind the success of women like these women up here, 12 Olympic medals amongst these women, are the people. So I want to start with your stories, because people know you from winning your Olympic medals and from what you've done for you on the slopes. But how did you get there? What is the backstory of how you got to that point?
I mean, it was a lot of sacrifice. It was a lot of years of working hard, and for my family especially, it was a huge sacrifice. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and my family moved from Minnesota to Colorado so that I could pursue my skiing career at the age of 11. So it was definitely a big move for us. My parents cashed out their retirement funds. You know, we definitely were in a bit of a jam with our financial situation, but my parents made it work, and I kept working hard. You know, I had a plan to make the Olympics in 2002. I would be 17, and I hatched that plan with my father when I was about, 11 or 12 years old. So we had a plan I set out to achieve, and we just worked hard to get there. So I'm not disappointed that I made those sacrifices. It was all worth it. I've had some amazing experiences in my life, and it's definitely been hard work, but like I said, it's worth it.
Well, Jocelyne and I come from a pretty big family, so we have 4 older brothers, and we're all born within 5 years of each other. If you just want to let that sink in for a second. Our poor mother. So we grew up in a large family and had a pond across the street growing up, and so we just all gravitated towards playing hockey. We played many sports, but the one thing we always wanted to do is play with our brothers and do whatever they were doing. And so from a very young age, we learned how to always work our hardest and put our best effort forward, no matter what we were doing, just because that's what we had to do in order to keep up, because if we didn't, they wouldn't let us play with them. And then we actually went to a boarding school when we were in 9th grade because we didn't really have a lot of opportunities to play girls hockey growing up because there just wasn't teams where we were from. So from there, we went to a boarding school, Shattuck St. Mary's, just outside of Minneapolis, and probably the greatest opportunity that we were given in our hockey careers. And then started off on the national team, but I'll let Jocelyne tee up the rest of it so I don't say it all for her.
Yeah, I think just our family life just kind of was inherently competitive. Just trying to get to sit in the shotgun in my mom's van was a race, and just everything was a competition. But we grew up in a big family, and it was very much a team situation, and so it was just kind of natural that we fell into a team sport. But like Lindsey said, you make these sacrifices, but I think it's more just a part of the process, and the steps that you have to take to achieve something great is something that we're all familiar with. And it's not, when you're going through it, you don't really see it as a sacrifice. It's more of, this is what I need to do if I want to get to this point. And so there's been a lot of decisions made to help us get to where we are. But I think, when you're trying to achieve something that a lot of people don't have an opportunity to do, it's filled with decisions that a lot of people, I think, would view as sacrifices.
So I grew up in Las Vegas, and unlike these ladies, I didn't grow up as an athlete, actually. I grew up and I was an artist, and I painted, and I liked to snowboard, but it wasn't really a sport that I trained for. It was just something that I loved to do. And my plan was to travel the world and snowboard and just see different parts of the world. And at the age of 19, I ended up contracting something called meningococcal meningitis, where I ended up losing both of my legs below the knees. And I ended up also having a kidney transplant and kind of being in the hospital for 3 months fighting for my life. And my life completely changed forever. And I had to rethink the way that I lived my life and the goals that I had in my life. And I had no idea what my life was going to be like. But through a lot of creativity and a lot of hard work, I ended up snowboarding again and starting a nonprofit organization called Adaptive Action Sports with my husband, where we can help other people with physical disabilities get involved in action sports and go on to do the Paralympic Games and help to get snowboarding actually into the Paralympic Games. And then go on to write a New York Times bestselling book and all types of different projects. But kind of the same thing, a lot of passion, a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, but it doesn't feel like a sacrifice at the time because you're so passionate about what you're doing. And I think that's what got me on my legs again and has gotten me to where I'm at today.
One thing that was fascinating that you were telling me a little bit earlier, I mean, the rest of us, for me, getting ready to play basketball, all right, I got a new pair of shoes. It might be skis or skates. When you wanted to learn how to snowboard, you had to build your legs. Can you explain and tell that story?
Yeah, so when I started looking into snowboarding again with 2 prosthetic legs, I called every ski school across the country and asked if they've ever worked with a double leg amputee snowboarder before, and they said, no, you should mono ski, just take your legs off and sit in a mono ski. And I thought, well, I'm not a skier, I'm a snowboarder, and I want to use my legs. And I remember getting up on the snowboard for the first time in 2 prosthetic legs. My ankles wouldn't bend and my knees wouldn't bend. At one point, I fell and my goggles went one way, my gloves went the other way, and my legs, still attached to my snowboard, went flying down the mountain. And meanwhile, I was still sitting on top of the mountain, completely embarrassed. And I remember actually hearing this lady scream from the chairlift because she just saw somebody break into pieces on the mountain. And which I'm sure she racked up years of therapy bills after that. But I was so discouraged, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, gosh, these detachable body parts are not staying attached to my body, and my ankles wouldn't move the way I need them to. And so I think that's when I decided that our challenges can stop us, or they can force us to get creative. And so I went home, I did a year of research, still couldn't find any kind of legs that I could snowboard in. So I decided to make a pair myself. My leg maker and I, we took random parts and pieces. We took like a foot from one brand and an ankle from another brand and turned it backwards. And I had this idea of how I needed my feet and my ankles to work. And we used a lot of wood and rusted bolts and pink duct tape and ended up basically like creating this Frankenstein foot that I ended up being able to snowboard in, and because nobody else was going to do it for me. And everybody had told me up to this point that they didn't know if double leg amputees could ever snowboard. And I just kind of figured, well, maybe it's because they haven't figured it out yet. Nobody's really put the effort in to try to figure it out. And so I did that, and then after that, ended up starting this organization with my husband where we're able to help other people with disabilities learn to snowboard, and we get them equipped with their legs and their feet. And now, I don't make their feet out of pink duct tape, but just mine, so.
It really is amazing. I mean, plenty of people have tailors. Plenty of people have tailors. Very few people talk about their leg maker.
Yeah,
and the pink duct tape. When I played in the Olympics in 1996, and that was held in Atlanta, and throughout the city of Atlanta, there were these huge billboards. I don't remember who put them up. I don't know if it was a Nike campaign or what. And the billboard said, "You don't win silver, you lose gold." Pretty absurd, actually. But it gets me to my question is, how do we define success? How do each of you define success? You won a bronze medal in the last Olympics and looked like the happiest person through your tears on the slopes. How do each of you define success?
I mean, success is about how much effort you put in and doing the best job that you can possibly do. I was happy with bronze because I had gone through so much with all of my surgeries and all of my injuries, and I have worked as hard as I possibly could have worked over the past 8 years since I was in the last Olympics. And so I was happy with any medal. I mean, I didn't care what color it is. It could have been pink, but
duct tape.
I mean, I could have borrowed some duct tape and it would have been totally good. But I couldn't have given more of myself. And so for me, that was a successful Olympics. And, people can say, oh, well, you should have won gold. You won gold last time. And, I'm older, I'm a little beat up. And, just the situation isn't the same. And you have to put everything in perspective. You can't always do what you've done. You have to change, how you adjust and how you overcome adversity. And so I was so thrilled with bronze, and I've also had a lot going on with my grandfather dying, and wanting him to be there with me. But at the end of the day, I was proud of myself, and I think he would have been proud of me, and to me, that's success.
Without question, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we've won 2 silver medals, but that billboard kind of sinks in with us when we get our Olympic medals, it's a little bit different. So we've been in 10 gold medal situations between World Championships and Olympics, and we've played against Canada for all 10 of them. And so we've won we've won 6 of 7 World Championships that we've been to, and then we've won 1 of 3 Olympic Games. And so for us, we're competing for a gold medal, and anything short of that is, to us, is not the tip-top success that we can be in or could get. But I think the biggest thing that we've always said on our team is you want to leave the team better than when you came into it, and that jersey is in a better place than when you first put it on. And so I think when we think of our success with the team last year, we went through a situation where we were in negotiations with USA Hockey and trying to get our team under contract, and we ended up announcing 2 weeks before our World Championships that our team was not going to go unless we made significant progress. And so I'll let Jocelyne explain a little bit more of that, but we ended up going through 2 weeks of negotiations, signing our contracts 2 days before, showing up and have one full practice with the team before the start of World Championships, and going on to win. But I think when I think back of success and what we've accomplished, that's going to be our most proud moment on our national team. It's the medals are great and everything, but that moment, being able to really change the face of USA Hockey for women's hockey moving forward in the U.S. is what I'm going to be most proud of. Yeah, and I think, medals are great, and if you're fortunate to win one or a couple, and no matter what color, it's something that you strive for. But ultimately, it's the process and the journey and the people you impact and the differences you can make, and ultimately that's what matters. It's the impact you can make, especially I think on the younger generation. And I think we like to define our careers by outside of a hockey rink, not necessarily by games won and lost or medals won and lost, but how many people we've impacted along the way is how we kind of define our success. And definitely don't want, in 15 years to just be remembered for a shootout goal or one medal that we won. Definitely the bigger picture is how we define success.
It's a pretty good shootout goal, though.
Yeah, thanks.
I think, like Lindsey said as well, just knowing that you laid it all on the line and that you did everything that you could and you gave it everything you had, and you can be proud of yourself when you walk away. And this last year, I won a silver, which was an upgrade from the bronze that I won in Sochi, so I was incredibly proud of that. And I just came back from a major injury as well, so outside of having 2 prosthetic legs and being the only double leg amputee female competitive snowboarder, I came back from a major arm injury, a nerve injury this year. And it made me kind of have to think of things differently. Like, I wasn't going to be the first person pulling out of the start gates. I wasn't going to get ahead that way. So I had to start thinking about strategy and my headspace and my mental space and kind of my whole mental game and what I needed to do to get ahead. And I'm competing against girls who are half of my age as well and who have one good leg or have both of their legs. So I kind of had a lot that I was going up against. But I kind of focused on my mental space and being as calm under pressure as I could be and trying to use that pressure to get ahead and use it to my advantage. And it ended up playing out. And I kind of set out this goal of how I was going to ride that day during the Paralympics. And I wanted to be calm and I wanted to be collected and I wanted to be able to think in the moment and not make stupid choices. And I was able to really breathe and kind of meditate and stay in this really calm space and come out with a silver medal, which was higher than I've come out before. It's been a long time since I've won a gold medal. So for me, I went out there and I did everything that I decided I was going to do. And so I can be proud of that. And yeah, so for me, the success is, it's not really the color of the medal. I mean, just to win a medal in the first place, we're all so lucky. But just knowing that I had a game plan, I had a goal, and I went out and I did it.
I'm going to come back to you, Amy, on this then. You talk about a calm space that you're in before you compete. One of the big obstacles to succeeding is a fear and overcoming fear. And you've had a lot of obstacles in your life that most people haven't had. So while it might just be a fear that you have before you perform, but how do you overcome fear no matter what obstacles are put in front of you?
Gosh, I mean, it's crazy because, fear is very real. I think, as athletes, it's not that we don't have fear. I think we have the same amount of fear that anybody else has. We just have learned different techniques and ways to deal with that fear. And for me, I just try to look at nerves, like whether it's nerves going out to compete or nerves coming on stage. I try to look at those nerves as excitement, as energy, excess energy that I need to do something with. And so, I think, I've dealt with a lot of different fear, but I think for me, being calm under pressure is the most important thing. And I knew that with my Paralympic performance, a lot of the other girls, even though they were younger, they're faster, they're stronger, I was by no means my strongest going out to compete physically. I knew that if I could keep myself calm and collected and think in the moment, then I would make really smart decisions. And so I started doing a lot of deep breathing and working with a sports psych on different meditation techniques and just trying to keep myself in the calmest, clearest state of mind I could be in. And it allowed me to make these little micro adjustments in the moment, which was really important. Sometimes if you get too much anxiety, too much excitement, too much fear, too much going, then you can get ahead of yourself and you're just like, you don't even remember the performance that you did. And so I think actually being on the TV show Dancing with the Stars helped tremendously, because every single week we were in front of millions of people. We couldn't mess up. It was so challenging, and you had to be able to pull it together and make it happen, because it starts right now and you have to go. And so being able to kind of take some of that experience back to snowboarding and competing helps as well.
And what about for you, Lindsey? I mean, the thought of being at the top of a mountain and going 80 miles an hour or whatever down, it terrifies me, and I've never been on skis.
That sounds like
So it should terrify me. But, you know, how do you not even let that become a part of what you're doing when you're trying to get your goal?
I mean, I think I'm a little bit crazy, because that sounds awesome to me, you know, throwing myself down the mountain at 90 miles an hour. I mean, I think the only time that I wouldn't say that I've been afraid, but things that have been more difficult is after an injury and coming back. But I think the reason why I'm able to come back and not be afraid is because of all the preparation and the hard work I've put in. I know that when I step back on my skis, I'm as strong as I possibly could be. And so I never take a second thought. I never doubt myself or what I'm doing. And, you know, for me, I like I said, I love what I do. I love going fast. I'm not like Amy. I think maybe I'm different than everyone. I really don't get afraid. And I always use that to my advantage. You know, I use those high pressure situations to my advantage, because I know the competition is nervous. And I know that if I give my best and I don't succumb to that pressure, that I will come out on top. And I think, so like I said, the preparation makes me confident in what I'm doing, and it allows me to not have any fear when I'm throwing myself down the mountain.
You talk about preparation, and that leads me to commitment as well, especially for athletes, what you have to do every single day in order to be physically and mentally prepared for the next thing. And Monique, you said nearly every single day is scheduled around being the best athlete you can be. Can you just give me an example of a typical day for you and how everything is scheduled around trying to be the athlete you need to be?
Yeah, I think, well, what the public sees, they get to see 2 weeks out of every 4 years. And as Olympic athletes, as cliche as it sounds, you say the Olympics aren't every 4 years, they're every single day. And so when you're preparing to go to an Olympic Games, that you're not preparing 6 months before, you're preparing essentially for 4 years, and you schedule your day around trying to be the best you can be. And so last summer when we were training, a snapshot of our day, Jocelyne would come over to my house around like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and we would do about a half hour to 45 minutes of skill work in my garage and do some stick handling work, and my dog would come out and join us in the garage. And then a big thing that we changed last year was we took like 20 to 30 minutes every day to mental skills, whether that was watching video or sitting down and doing imagery for 20 to 25 minutes. We would set a timer and then just picture whether it was a gold medal game or working on certain skills. And then we would go to the gym, we would work out and train for about 2 hours probably, 2 to 2.5 hours. And then 3 to 4 times a week, then we're hitting the ice for another hour or so before heading into the season. So it's pretty much every day is surrounded, you're figuring out, okay, am I gonna go out later tonight or stay out till 10? Well, probably not, because I gotta get up early, and 10's late. Yep.
Yeah,
10's late. So you schedule your day around, and basically to be able to optimize your training and optimize being the best athlete you can be. And I think that's what, when people say sacrifice, you sacrifice a lot of your social life, but to me it's just what you do to be the best athlete you can be.
Lindsey, I want to ask you about this. I tore my ACL 2 times. I know you've done your ACL a few times. And when I was trying to come back to play, every morning it was, all right, what do I need to do today to get my knee better? What do I need to do so that my knee can be in a place where I can perform again? And it would, how much am I sleeping? What am I eating? What am I not drinking? And you kind of put your life around that. And just even looking at your Instagram page, you see all the training that you're doing. So similar thing, coming back from injury and the focus you have to have just to try to get yourself back to where you were moments before you suffered that injury?
Yeah, it's been a challenge for sure. I've blown out my ACL twice, my MCL torn off the bone. I've had multiple tibial plateau fractures, spiral fracture of my humerus with a metal rod and 18 screws. I've had a lot going on here. But you know, I think for me, it's managing my body the best way I can. So I know I'm not going to be as good as I was or as strong as I was when I was younger, and maybe not as strong as some of the girls that are coming up that are 16 to 20, like Amy said. But you know, I'm still strong enough to win races, and so every day I'm focused on how do I maximize what I have. I have to warm up my knee for an extra 20 to 30 minutes every day, whether I'm working out or skiing. I can't do the volume that all the young girls do. I can't do the reps. I have to really control everything I do because my physical therapist puts it as I only have a certain amount of steps. And if I run really fast, then I'm gonna blow through my steps pretty quickly. But if I pace myself, then I can extend my career longer. So what I'm trying to do is really maximize what I have. And that's a pretty effed up knee and not a lot of cartilage. But, you know, like I said, it's just maximizing that. So I'll warm up my knee, I'll bike, I'll do my liftings. So that's about 2.5 to 3 hours in the morning. I take a break, usually take a nap. I'm a big napper. I'm not that old, but still I like napping. And then I'll bike in the afternoon and then do therapy. So literally my whole day revolves around working out and making my knee feel better, which is a difficult task.
I'm a mother of 4, so anytime I hear someone talk about napping, I just sit there and just wait. Those days are going to be over sometime soon. Amy, you take this to a whole new level, and you've talked about the goals you had. What were the goals, or what were your thoughts immediately after you had to have both of your legs amputated?
Yeah, gosh, you know, first of all, your head, you can't even wrap your head around the reality of that happening. I had no idea what my life was going to be like. And the most I knew of somebody who had prosthetic legs, like the only amputee I've ever seen was a wounded veteran sitting in a wheelchair on the corner with no legs and, you know, a sign or something. Like that's what I visualized, like, oh my gosh, like that's all I've seen. That's what my life is going to be like. And but I needed something. I guess I'm very goal-oriented, and I needed something to hang on to kind of get me through my toughest days. And I remember being wheeled into the surgical room where they were going to amputate my legs and being so scared. And then just basically I gave myself 3 goals, which was something for me to, I think, to hold on to and to feel like I was in control of the situation. And so the first goal was that I was never going to feel sorry for myself. Everybody had felt so bad for me. Of course, being in the hospital, my family, everybody watching me, knowing that I was going to lose my legs. Everybody was in tears, of course, and just completely heartbroken. And I didn't like feeling like a victim. And I chose right then and there that I wasn't going to be a victim to my situation. And so my first goal was that I was never going to feel sorry for myself. My second goal was that when I someday figure this out, I wanted to help other people. I kind of had this vision, or not just this vision, but I had this feeling that even though I hadn't figured it out yet, I knew that everything was going to be okay. And when I did figure it out, I wanted to help other people and let them know that whatever they're going through, it's going to be okay. You'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. And then the third goal I gave myself was that I had never missed a season of snowboarding, so that year I was going to snowboard. And I lost my legs in August, and I ended up getting up on a snowboard again in February. So those were kind of my 3. But those were my 3 goals that I set out from the beginning and accomplished. And I also actually, I wanted my very first goal after I got out of the hospital was, once again, I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. My sister was getting married just about a month after I got out of the hospital, and I didn't want to be in a wheelchair. And so I got my new prosthetic legs. They barely fit, but I did everything I could to walk in her wedding, which I did. And I remember just thinking, if I can do that, then I can do anything. If I can walk in my sister's wedding a month after losing my legs, then I can do anything. And just kind of taking it day by day. And I think you can't look at the whole big picture of, what's my life going to be like, or, you do have to have the big picture, but I think when you break it down into these very tangible little goals, then you get there much quicker and it doesn't seem so overwhelming. So for me, that's how I've done everything. I've had to kind of break it down into digestible little pieces so that eventually I could get to where I wanted to get in my life.
There's been a lot of talk about women in the workplace getting equal pay and treatment. Lindsey, I'm going to start with you. Do you feel like you get equal respect, equal pay to what your male counterparts get?
I think we've been really lucky in ski racing that women have had equal pay or roughly equal pay for quite a few years. I think what's missing in our sport is a lack of respect. We're often referred to as the pony show, and the men are the stallions. They're the race horses, and we're just like the little ponies, trotting along the side. That's been a struggle for me, especially because I train with the men all the time, and it always frustrates me that, they think that I'm second rate, and it always surprises them when I beat half of the guys I'm training with, which I really like doing. But I think they've learned to not underestimate me at this point in time. I'm still hoping to try to compete with the men. That's kind of one of my biggest goals at this stage in my career. I don't know if I'll get to that. There's a lot of older Swiss gentlemen that don't really want to see me go down that path, but
We do.
thank you. So. I hope that's something that I can achieve. But like I said, I think we are lucky in the sense that ski racers are fairly even in pay, unlike some other athletes.
You talked about it a little bit, but how does that manifest itself in terms of USA Hockey?
Do you want to take that?
Well, yeah, so when we had gone through our boycott last year, just over a year ago, we had been in negotiations for over 2.5 years and had really made no progress whatsoever. And we were just really fighting for equitable support. Unfortunately, there's a lot of millions of dollars being put into a boys U17 and U18 program and no equivalent for a girls program. Creating awareness for young girls to grow the sport. I think if you can make the national team visible and make young girls aware that, hey, there are women playing hockey and they compete in the Olympics, but it's bigger than just the Olympics. There's a national team, there's a world championship. Girls can be what they see, but they can't even dream of doing that if they can't see it. So creating more awareness around women's hockey and then a fair wage, a livable wage is what we were asking for. And so ultimately, we'd gone through 2.5 years with no progress. And so then we decided as a national team that we were going to boycott the World Championships. And so when we say boycott, what ended up happening was our national team boycotted, but then the U22 team, the U18 team also said that they wouldn't compete if they were going to try to replace us, if USA Hockey was going to replace us. And then basically every American-born college player stood in solidarity with us. So anyone who is basically old enough to compete in the World Championships said, I'm not going to play. I'm going to stand with the women's team. And, we believe what they're fighting for. And so when we were going through that process, it really was an eye-opener because of the solidarity that we found, not just with women's hockey, but the support from men, women, all sports. We had 23 women's senators write a letter to USA Hockey. And so when you find that support, you just know you're doing the right thing. And ultimately, that's what's going to change our sport. But it's also so much bigger than women's hockey or sports in general. It's what so many of us go through in life. And so if we can be an example of that and what our passion is, I think, it's such a great example for young girls and young women and boys and men. And so we were able to accomplish a lot in the contract that we were able to come to an agreement on, but it's just the start. It's only the beginning for sure.
I don't know if this is a thing that might be unique to basketball, but when I was playing, plenty of random guys on the street, their favorite thing to say was, "You want to play one-on-one, or I can beat you in one-on-one?" And no.
Did you?
No, and no, they couldn't. But, especially you look on social media, if there's a WNBA game going on, people find it's their right and they must criticize because it's women playing. But if you ever take a look at those things that are being said, they are never being said by one segment of the population, and that's NBA players or high-level college men's basketball players, because they, better than anyone, understand the high skill level that you're playing with, the commitment that you've made. And I'm curious if that's similar to hockey, if most of the respect comes from the men, if it's similar in ski racing, it's similar in snowboarding, because in basketball, you get the most respect from the men who are the best at doing it.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's probably up to par with NBA players, but I would say it's pretty similar. And I think it kind of depends the background that a lot of these NHL players come from. When you're coming from a college background and typically have an equivalent women's Division I team comparable, and you're sharing a facility and you train side by side with one another, I think you see that respect. But there's definitely occasions where you don't see that, and so which is kind of unfortunate. But when we played we were centralized in Tampa this year, and we were playing junior boys teams leading up to the Olympics. And I remember getting on the ice, and we were about to play these 18-year-old boys, and you could tell that they thought that they were just gonna
Have their way.
us and have their way. And a lot of the teams we beat 8 and 10 nothing and blowout games. And so I think once you're able to showcase your skill set and people actually see you and you're visible, then they realize, oh, they're athletes. They're not just female athletes, they're athletes.
I think some of it, just like an example. So we were training last summer, and there's an intern strength coach that was on the floor. Monique's husband actually trains us, and I heard the conversation, and I just pretended not to hear it because I didn't want the intern to feel more bad than he did. But we were doing some agility work, and Monique and I work as strength coaches, so we're, I would say, pretty good at the weight room stuff, and we coach it, and we went to school for it, so we know what we're doing. Yeah, and the kid goes, "Oh, why are they so good at that?" Like, he literally he's genuinely and sincerely was wondering why girls were so good at the drill we were doing that we were better than the guys in our group were professional hockey players. And so he sincerely asked that question, and then Monique's husband, Anthony, looks at him like, "Dude, you can't say that." Like, but it's interesting because, in that case, it wasn't intentional, but I think in some instances it depends on, if they've been exposed to women's sports. And I think that's, a bigger piece of, I see the WNBA on ESPN all the time now, and or sometimes should be on
Not
more.
enough.
Yeah, should be more. But it's, it's showcasing that. And like, I've only been skiing once, but I have a brand new appreciation for anything on a mountain. And so like, I would love to see them skiing and snowboarding more than just 4 times a year. It's about creating that awareness.
One thing I want to jump to, because it's significant for athletes, because your lifespan is only so long. You can play or compete into your mid to late 30s if you're lucky. But it's similar to a corporate culture when you're getting ready to move on to the next step in the next phase. And so I'm curious for all of you, Amy, we'll start with you. What are you doing now? What have you done to prepare yourself for the next phase of your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging because when you're in it, whatever it is you're doing, you're solely focused on that. But while you have that platform is when you should be working on what's next. I mean, you have to be in the moment to be everything that you can be, especially as an athlete. But at the same time, I realized this last year, being a Paralympic year, that this is the exact time that I should be working on what's next and everything else I'm doing. So I've kind of added a lot to my plate as far as I have a lot of different projects and a whole career outside of snowboarding. I think unlike these ladies who get to focus full-time on being an athlete, and I know you guys do a lot of speaking and other projects as well, but my season kind of goes from like November through March for competitive snowboarding, and then I start a speaking career from March through November. And so I'm kind of working year-round, and when I'm working on snowboarding, I'm setting everything up for the summer months, and then the summer months, I'm setting everything up for the winter months. And then also just, I'm 38 years old, and this was a good Paralympics for me, and 4 years is a very long time. And I don't know if I'm in for the next 4 years, but I also know I'm not ready to step away and totally retire. So I'm trying to just kind of split my time between training and focusing on snowboarding, but also kind of working on some of these other projects and helping our sport grow more. And so putting a lot on my plate right now. Like after the Paralympics, you would think you would maybe relax, but now this is when I feel like I'm working harder than ever. So.
Amy's right. 4 years is a long time to commit to. Everyone always asks right after the Olympics, okay, are you go? Like the next day, people are asking, are you going for the next one? It's like, I haven't thought about it yet. But what she says totally resonates, I think, with my story and our story. And it's, I think, using our platform, especially after winning a gold medal, our lives have totally changed. But using the platform to create more opportunities for girls in hockey, but in sport in general, because I think sports create such a positive impact on youth. And I think it's the one area in life for kids where they learn life lessons and they learn great work habits and accountability in a fun space. Sports are supposed to be fun. And so finding a way to basically make that a big scale thing eventually when I retire is definitely a goal of mine, just to create more opportunities, but especially for young women.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think we've been fortunate to be involved with Snyder Hockey with the Philadelphia Flyers, and they provide underprivileged kids with the opportunity to play hockey for free. And so about a month ago, we were involved with Comcast and Snyder Hockey, and we gave 100 laptops away to these kids with free internet access for 6 months. And so for us to be able to hopefully change the trajectory of these kids' lives, you think of going to school, and I mean, we didn't really have laptops, and that growing up, it was just when computers were starting to become really popular. And so if you don't have access to a laptop and internet, you can't do your homework these days. And so to be able to do events like that where you're truly making a difference in a child's life, I think is something that we're extremely passionate about in helping underprivileged youth. And one thing that we really worked on in our contract negotiations was getting pregnancy benefits for the players, because you shouldn't have to choose between starting a family and living your passion and playing your sport. And so that was something that we got into our contracts. And I think for us, we're married, and so the next step is family for us. And so now we can continue to play hockey and have that dream of having a family and being able to do both. You shouldn't have to choose. And I know so many women, not just in sport, but in life, have to make that choice, unfortunately. And so now we don't have to do that now, which is great. I actually just finished an executive education course at Harvard.
Where? I'm sorry?
Harvard. I packed my car. I didn't learn that. That was bad. But I've been focused on making this transition to a post-career lifestyle for the last probably 3 years. Most of my contracts are set up for a different type of relationship post-skiing. So I'll continue to work with those sponsors. And I also have my own foundation where my focus is to inspire and empower young girls. We just gave away $40,000 worth of scholarships. We have camps where the girls learn how to set goals and have positive self-body image. So I'll continue to do that, work on my foundation, but I don't know. I think acting is also another thing that I could get into. I'm friends with The Rock. I never know whether to say Dwayne or I don't know. It's kind of awkward. But he.
What do you call him when you're with him?
I call him, DJ.
Okay.
Dwayne. I don't know. It's still weird. So sometimes I text him The Rock. I'm like, what's The Rock cooking? But I think I'm just gonna try to learn from him and see if there's another path or another challenge that I could tackle. But maybe starting my own business is something that is more worth my time. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm definitely thinking ahead and trying to do the next step in a very thoughtful manner. So I was really happy that I got to do that executive education course. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll be working for SAP. Who knows?
Well, that's a perfect segue because they told me I had to wrap this up with 5 minutes on the, how many clocks do they have shouting at us? 2 of them. And we're down to 4. So thank all of you, and thank you to everyone in the audience for coming out and listening to us today. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause. Stories of true grit and determination. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rebecca Lobo, Lindsey, Vonn, Monique and Jocelyne, Lamoureux, Amy, Purdy. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank our story participants this afternoon from Johnsonville, Ron Gilson, Lori Plate, Royal Canadian Navy, Vice Admiral Ron Lloyd, Tim Gibble, Vinnie Prosper, for Adija, Brian Douglas, and Naveen Salim, Mark, Keith, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening. Let's be careful out there. Have a great weekend. Have a great Tuesday.
Monique left with a shot, rebound, Purdy scores! The shots and a goal! Shot out in front and another goal. That was Lamoureux Coles once again, the two twin sisters.
Amy Purdy is next out. She's something of a celebrity back home.
How sensational is that? Incredible performance.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. For the few of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Scott, and I have the great privilege and honor of leading this user community. So let's put our hands together and thank ourselves for being here. Are you guys feeling good this afternoon? It's a big day. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of talking. And this is your time to kick back, relax, have some fun, and listen to some great stories. We're gonna meet some fantastic people, and I promise you, you're gonna have a good time. Your cell phone is nothing more than a bad news delivery device, so put it down. Those projects can wait. Those wonderful emails that say, I love you, can wait just a little bit longer, and we're just gonna talk this afternoon. We're gonna have some fun. You know, it's simple. We love stories, and we love stories about sports even more. Man versus man versus nature, team versus team, Ray versus Kylo Ren. Bravers. Oh, come on. This is a little bit of fun today. Come on, folks. Thank you. Win, lose, or draw, these stories captivate us. That's why I'm so excited to welcome these 4 spectacular Olympic and Paralympic athletes to this stage this afternoon, to hear their stories of true grit and determination, to hear how they train, to hear how they persevere against the odds, to hear how they motivate themselves to compete and win. Because in so many ways, their stories are our stories. Because just like them, we compete. Just like them, we race against the clock. Just like them, we know that we have to elevate our game and our organization's game each and every single day. Our community knows one universal constant. Technology never stands still. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And because of this, our performance matters. Your performance matters. Ask Lindsey Vonn and she'll tell you, you can own the best pair of skis in the world, but it's your skill that gets you down that mountain. Some of us better than others, and that's not me. That's not me. And by the way, the same is true when it comes to SAP. It is some of the best technology in the world, but it's the skills of each and every single one of us in this room that makes it work. That's true, isn't it? Absolutely. Like David against Goliath, we succeed by our wit, not our weight. It's our true grit and determination, our willingness to compete, our drive to win that delivers success to our organizations every day. That's why we need to be at the top of our games. And that's what ASUG, your SAP community, is here to do for you, to get you to the top of your game and keep you there. We all know the saying, no pain, no gain. And based on the stories that so many of you have shared with me, we do have some pain in our community and maybe not as quite as much gain as we think we deserve. The pain of those projects who we know their success is doubtful from the very beginning. The pain of those late nights and weekends spent away from family and friends in pursuit of getting all this technology to work. The pain felt by our end users who never quite understand and can't quite figure out how to put all this technology to work for them. The pain of consultants and contractors who promise us one thing, but deliver something less. ASUG is here to help turn that pain into gain. With 100,000 members, all of you, 400 volunteers, 200 chapter meetings, and over 600 webcasts a year, and that's just getting started. There is no better community than the one right here in this room. We're here to help you win the race. We are your coach, the one who says just the right thing at just the right time to get you to cross that finish line to victory. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your organizations to be part of this amazing community, to be part of ASUG. In the 2018 State of the Community Survey, you shared with us some very important insights, both about where your organizations have been and where you're going. This afternoon, I want to highlight 2 of those insights for you. First, 73% of you said that your companies are increasing spending on key innovation initiatives. 73%. That tells me something very important. That tells me that digital transformation is both very real and very impactful to your organizations. But perhaps more important is that 68% of you said that those innovation initiatives will require more out of your SAP investments. Game on. This morning, SAP showed you some important new capabilities, such as C4HANA and the Intelligent Enterprise. And Bill and his team did a magnificent job explaining all that new capability to us. But that capability will help us to innovate and get more out of our SAP investments. But in so many ways, that is our latest pair of skis. But it still takes us, our skill, our determination, our grit to make it down the mountain in order to turn those new capabilities into a competitive advantage for our organizations. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. As a community, our strength has always been going together. So let's go together, united to deliver value to our organizations, our stakeholders, our customers, by putting this SAP software to work for us. And because we love stories, this afternoon we will be sharing some fantastic member success stories with you. Stories that will inspire you to reach higher, to compete faster, and to ultimately beat that ticking clock. Stories that simply remind us that we are the very best technology user community on this planet. Thank you. Let's take a look at the first one.
You know, there's a fundamental belief here at Johnsonville that we have a business that builds our people. We don't use our people to build our business. Part of the Johnsonville way is the requirement that each one of us learn, stretch, and grow and helps other people learn, stretch, and grow. What we look for is the opportunity to provide learning experiences for our members on a daily basis.
You have that nudge, right? You have the right person who sees the potential in you. Take that opportunity when it's there.
At Johnsonville actually successfully implemented S4 1610. We were the first. We were on the bleeding edge here on this, but it was really a conversation about where do we invest? Do we invest on the old technology platform, or do we take a bit of a risk and implement the latest and greatest so that as we move forward with that technology roadmap, we're building on the best technology that's available today.
It's about empowerment, and we're using the information that we're gathering and reporting to drive process change and improvement throughout our organization. So it's not something that's going to stay stagnant. We're going to continue to develop that and improve that.
Today we're close to 50 IT professionals and running the latest and greatest SAP technologies.
Technology is a huge part of what we do. We see ourselves as a bleeding edge organization, and I think we want to continue to be at the forefront of that.
The community of ASUG is something that has been valuable to me, to my entire team. ASUG Executive Exchange is something that's really kind of forced me to grow, but then the community itself is so willing to help. We also have leadership here who understands that IT is a competitive differentiator for us, that we're able to deploy systems to make us more efficient and give us that strategic advantage over our competition. We can use that to continue to propel the business forward.
These are stories about us, folks, how we use this technology every day. What a great story about a storied company. Johnsonville reminds us that our time here this week is really about how we put this technology to work for our organizations. Because all of this technology can only be successful if our end users who operate it have the knowledge and know-how to put it to work for us.